So this is the third and final video for today. I'm giving you guys deals today for Black Friday. I know you guys love deals. I've already discussed in one video how you can get yourself a bottle of Dior Homme Parfum. I have it linked in the info box as well. It's selling currently and they'll sell out. Also, in a previous video I discussed, we dropped mystery box number 2. It's a big one. We're going to sell out of this one as well. And in today's video, I've got 12 fragrances that you can buy at Twisted Lily. And these are fragrances that I've selected, fragrances that I enjoy, new fragrances, all at 20% off. So if you're in the market for new fragrances, I'm going to tell you about these 12 favorite fragrances of mine, currently selling at Twisted Lily for 20% off, and it goes until Sunday. So find out all about these coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about Black Friday specials. And as I said, we did talk about Dior Homme Parfum, one of my favorite fragrances. You can buy it. There's a link in the info box. Go find out where you can buy this from. It's a discounted price, and it's one of the hottest sought after fragrances. My favorite designer fragrance currently on the market, still since 2014. And then, of course, mystery box number 2. It's a big one. It's a big mystery box. A lot of great things in here. It's sort of an advent calendar style mystery box. There's 22 samples, 1 notes book for you to take down notes for the fragrances, and a little sweet treat as well. So get yourself your mystery box. But let's talk about the fragrances in today's video. For Twisted Lily, 20% off. These are the only 12 I selected. I decided to go around and see some of my favorite fragrances that are sold there. And if you guys have been in the market for these fragrances, they normally sell these and they give me a 10% discount. But today, until Sunday, it's 20% off with the code PerfumeGuy20. And let's talk about the fragrances. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is ETAT Libre d'Orange's Clean Suede. Are you guys familiar with this one? So this is a fragrance that used to be called Tom of Finland. And I believe what happened was the brand lost the licensing deal, or maybe they ran out, and so they had to re-release the fragrance. And it's a good thing they re-released it under this name and in a black bottle, because sometimes brands discontinue fragrances. But I think this is fairly popular. That's why they've re-released it. The only thing is I'm not really 100% sure with the name. It's a pretty basic name. But maybe it means what it actually is, because, you know, it has aldehydes in the notes. So aldehydes come off of very clean to me. And it's suede in the end. And then so, yeah, I guess maybe that makes sense. But they could have come up with a little more unique name for it. But definitely one of my favorite fragrances from this house. And it's a great thing they haven't discontinued it. The other thing I should also say, it's a nice black bottle. And previous versions of this fragrance, when it's called Tom of Finland, it's a clear bottle. And when you receive your fragrance, it starts off fairly clear. Over time, it gets really dark reddish. So if you've ever noticed that, that's pretty interesting, and I'm glad it's in a black bottle. But it's clean suede, and I think it makes sense. It's a bit vanillic, for sure aldehydic. There's some light smoky touches, spicy touches, and ambery touches as well. So definitely a great fragrance, and I wanted to highlight that here because this is definitely one of the best from ETAT Libre Orange, and I'm glad they did not discontinue this fragrance because they lost the name Tom of Finland. Anyway, that's Clean Suede. If you guys have noticed, I'm a little stuffed up, dealing with a very bad cold, and so I'm trying to do these videos as best as I can. Moving on to a fairly new one from MANCERA. It's Cosmic Pepper, this one right here. Are you guys familiar with this one? So this is a very interesting fragrance in that it is peppery, and I've mentioned in videos that I don't really quite enjoy very peppery fragrances, but this one's really, really great. There's definitely a sparkling edge about the fragrance, and I think you can get this fizzy sparkling effervescence from peppery notes, but you can also get it from, you know, other notes. So there's the fact that there's fizzy lemons and tangerine credited here, plus the black pepper and the pink pepper. So it's a kind of a very fizzy, sparkling fragrance experience. So you've got white musk in here as well, tonka beans, there's sage, there's oakmoss, deep labdanum, sensual amber, oud, and damask rose. For me, it's not necessarily a lot about rose and oud. You will get some faint smells in there. It's very musky. It does have a bit of a Middle Eastern edge. It does have that fizziness, very, very sparkling, effervescent, and uber, uber spicy. And I think this is a great fragrance from this house. they crank out fragrances, and sometimes I don't enjoy them as much as others, but for me, Cosmic Pepper is definitely great, and I also enjoy the name Cosmic Pepper. Have you gotten your nose on Cosmic Pepper? Do let me know. That is definitely one of my recommendations at 20% off over at Twisted Lily. So a familiar fragrance for you guys, one of my favorite launches of this year, going to the house of NASOMATTO, it's SADONASO, this one right here. Do you guys enjoy musk like I do? One of my favorite things about fragrances is musky fragrances. I really enjoy them. And this one to me has a bit of a gourmand sweet edge to it, overall being very musky. Some people find this to be uber animalic, others find it to be gourmand. It's interesting. I've seen the comments come in and it's very, very polarizing. Some people hate it, some people love it, some people find it too animalic, as I said, some people find it too gourmand sweet. I think it's a great balance of both. I like the animalics in here. It's not overly animalic for me. I like the sweetness in here. It's not overly sweet for me. It's just a nice, nice fragrance. If you're experienced with fragrances like Original Musk from Kiehl's or something like Carnicure from Marlou, definitely get your nose on this. And they don't publish notes here for NASOMATTO fragrances, but I get like sandalwood, lots of musk, a bit tonka, amber, animalic notes, tobacco, vanilla, things like that. Really delicious fragrance. So this is SADONASO from the house of NASOMATTO. Then a new one from the house of XERJOFF. This is ERBA Gold for a very bright bubblegummy experience. Have you tried this one yet? So I am not a big fan of Erba Pura. That is a very popular fragrance. But here we've got something a little more playful. And a lot of people seem to be fans of Erba Pura, but I think it makes sense that XERJOFF keeps cranking out, flankers for Erba Pura. Are you familiar with Erba Pura, and have you gotten your nose on Erba Gold? To me, this is fruity, it's musky, and warm and spicy, but also the combination of notes creates for a very fruity bubblegummy experience. I'm almost thinking the color of this bottle is the color of the gum, and it's very, chewy, and I'm experiencing bubbles with this one. So it's amber, white musk, vanilla, orange, bergamot, pears, melons, cinnamon, cloves, green apple, ginger, cardamom, woods, and lemons. And again, the combination is pretty intense, overwhelming. Different than Erba Pura, does keep a little bit of the DNA of Erba Pura. Again, I didn't really care too much for Erba Pura, but I do enjoy this one. It's a fun fragrance. If you're into the idea of fun, playful fragrances, this is definitely one for you to try. And again, it's very intense. XERJOFF does great intense fragrances, but just keep in mind, this might come off a bit young because of that whole bubblegummy effect, if that makes sense. So it's Erba Gold from the house of XERJOFF. Check that out if you don't know it. We're going back to MANCERA once again, and this has become a favorite of mine from MANCERA. It's Tonka Cola, this one right here. This was recently featured in my Red Hot Cinnamon Spicy Fragrances video, and this is definitely that. It's very warm, spicy with the cinnamon note. Plus you get the black cherries in here, you get the Tonka, lots of it. There's also fizzy cola, because it's called Tonka Cola, so there's a sparkling edge about this one once again. But in the end, it kind of acts like a holiday style fragrance because of all the warmth in here. Kind of can come off a bit like some kind of a warm dessert, spicy, maybe a bit fruity, apple pie, cherry pie. You've got these toppings and spices on it, and you're sipping it with a little Coca-Cola or something. That's the experience I get with this one. It has a very warm, spicy edge, and it totally reminds me of the holidays. And definitely one of the reasons why I'm featuring it here, since it is the holidays now. It's Black Friday. And of course, we've talked about MANCERA's Tonka Cola. Let me know if you're a fan of that one, and what do you think about it. I'd like to find out. And then we're going to some classics that I've spoken about quite a bit on the channel. This next one's from the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois. This is Ganymede. This one right here. This has become a favorite fragrance of mine. I absolutely love this one. It's got that kind of dry autumn-like experience because there's this dry, grassy, earthy, leafy kind of a smell with the whole immortelle note. There's loads of immortelle in this. Plus it has saffron, it has osmanthus, akigala wood, violet, mandarin orange, suede. What a, intoxicating combination of notes this is. Really delicious. It doesn't act as beefy as I want it to be, but I think when you actually experience the wear of this fragrance, it's the right amount. There's a bit of molecular and mineralic kind of an experience here with this fragrance as well, but they're not really using any molecular notes. The akigala wood may be a little bit it, but it's mostly a proprietary note from Givaudan that's like patchouli, so definitely is perfectly featured here. It's a bit earthy, but one last thing I should say about this one, there's a muskiness about it, but also fruitiness. There's definitely some crunchy, crisp apple-like fruitiness under there. And it features osmanthus, and typically it goes into like a stone fruit, apricot, peaches kind of a direction. But for me, I get apples. Very crunchy. And I think it's also created from the violet leaves. I think it's violet leaves in here. They've mentioned violets. It smells like violet leaves to me. It has a very ozonic quality to it. But a great fragrance, Marc-Antoine Barrois, Ganymede. Have you tried that one? Do let me know. It is currently, like I said, part of my collection of 12 fragrances at 20% off. This next one is a great throwback to vintage Halston Z14. This is Raja Parfum's Apex Parfum Cologne. This one right here, really, really great. Totally takes me back to when I was 9, 10, 11. My dad and his, well, not my dad and my uncle, my mom's brother, both used to wear Halston Z14. Really loved that smell of that fragrance, and I used to steal sprays from him or them, and really has become one of my favorite, all-time favorite fragrances. And even though currently Halston Z14 has been butchered, watered down, here you've got this really robust version of it. Not identical, but definitely reminds you of it, and I like that about this fragrance. It's kind of a very classic masculine Chypre fragrance. Leathery Chypre is what I should say, and Halston Z14 was also a leathery Chypre. This features notes of leather, balsam fir, cypress, orange, patchouli, ambergris. I do get a bit of galbanum-like quality in here as well, but really great fragrance, really solid. If you are a fan of classic 70s, 80s men's fragrances, definitely check out Apex Parfum Cologne from Raja Parfum. And next fragrance, going to the house of Tamine. This is Peregrina. This one kind of does lean a bit feminine, but it's super, super delicious. It's a very creamy floral, rose floral fragrance. It has rose damascena, it has caramel, and it has vanilla and amber. So it definitely has that kind of creamy consistency when you're wearing it, mixed with the rose. It's kind of like a rose gourmand floral fragrance, along with these notes. You've got powdery notes, you've got myrrh, white musk, jasmine, gardenia, lily of the valley. This is a really delicious fragrance. Absolutely love it. I would call this an amber floral fragrance. It wears like that. It's syrupy, sweet, you know, a bit powdery, musky, and an overdose of flowers with resins and amber. Super delicious. This is Tamine's Peregrina, one of my favorites from that house. I absolutely love that fragrance. But moving on to two fragrances from Montal. These are my favorite Montals. We've got Ristretto Intense Cafe. I was recommending Intense Cafe quite a bit. I've kind of gotten bored of that one. I want a little more coffee. So Ristretto Intense Cafe does have more of a boost of coffee, and it's a super delicious fragrance. Really, really wonderful offering. It's loads of coffee, but like the espresso, like the Ristretto espresso type. So there's rose here, vanilla, there's caramel, musk, amber, woodsy notes. If you like the idea of Intense Cafe, but you thought, where in the world is the coffee in this fragrance? Try Ristretto Intense Cafe. You do have more of a coffee experience with Ristretto Intense Cafe. It's super delicious and a great, great offering from Montal. So that's Ristretto Intense Cafe. And this has become a favorite of mine. I can't believe how great this is. This is Arabian's Tonka. You know what? It's interesting. The original Arabians, I hated. I did not care for whatsoever. It was not anything interesting, not anything exciting. Boring, boring, boring fragrance. Arabian's Tonka, on the other hand, so different. It's like one of the best flankers ever. I don't even know if I can call it a flanker, but they had Arabians, didn't care for Arabian's Tonka. Love it. This is sugary with tonka beans, oud, saffron, rose, amber, musk, bergamot, and oakmoss. There is a little bit of a Baccarat Rouge, like, you know, muskiness in there, a reminder, but loads of tonka and loads of sugar with the oud and then the leathery touch of saffron. Super, super fantastic fragrance. Really love it. Arabian's Tonka, I love that fragrance. One of the best from Montal. Definitely, I think I would put that at number 1 or 2. Depending on what my mood is going like when I rank the fragrances of Montal. And speaking of molecular fragrances, I have to feature this one. This is Juicebox's Cheeky Smile. Are you guys familiar with this one? This is a molecular notes overdose. We've got ambroxan here, lots of it, along with ambercinide, ISOE Super, Cashmeran, Amber Extreme, Amber Core, and it is a very futuristic smelling fragrance. It's musky, it's ambery, it's dry, it's dusty, it's woody and powdery, and I can totally see the inspiration. This is inspired by acid house music. If you don't know Juicebox, they are a brand that is focusing on music, and their fragrances are all music inspired, and this particular fragrance is inspired by acid house music, a genre of music that I used to enjoy in the late 80s. But I can see this being a very clubby kind of a fragrance. It's very molecular, it's very futuristic, synthetic, and all of those come to mind to create one very, very musky fragrance with a cheeky smile. So Cheeky Smile from Juicebox, check that out if you don't know it. And then last but not least, we've got Amouage's Lilac Love. One of the only gourmandish fragrances from this house. I don't see that they make any gourmands, or hardly any, but this one does act gourmandish. It's lilacs, but it's mixed with cacao, heliotrope, gardenias, tonka, vanilla, orris, peony, jasmine, and rose. The lilacs in here are so delicious. And lilacs are one of my favorite flowers in the spring. They smell amazing off the trees, and capturing it here with a, when it's with its whole floral intensity and mixed with kind of gourmand notes, almondy, heliotrope, dusting of cacao, tonka, vanilla, orris, very powdery, floral, gorgeous fragrance. This is a fragrance created by Nathalie Lorson along with Elise Banat, but they did a great job with this one. I absolutely love it. This is Lilac Love from the House of Amouage. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. These 12 fragrances, currently 20% off. The discount code is PerfumeGuy20. Take advantage of that discount code now before it's too late. 20% off is a great discount. Really, really wonderful. Normally, as I said, they're 10% off, but today until Sunday, they are 20% off. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. What do you think about them? Have you tried them, or are you curious to try them? I'd like to find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, and one last deal I want to let you guys know about. 50%, up to 50% off fragrances from the House of Commodity. You guys know? I have a link in the info box. You can go visit and check out what's available. I'm going to tell you about 3 of my favorite fragrances currently. I'm missing one. I forgot to put down the notes for it, but it's Moss Plus, same as Milk Plus. But let's talk about Nectar first. Nectar turned out to be one of my favorite citrus fragrances. It's so good. It reminds me of Orange Blossom from Jo Malone. But this one is actually a bit more potent and also a little different as well, with a overdose of like a grapefruity edge. It's got juicy pomelo, neroli, orange blossom, honeysuckle, Italian tangerine, musk, bergamot, and vetiver and cedarwood. So good. One of the best freshies for me. I love the way it smells. It smells so naturalistic. And if you like the idea, check it out and see what kind of discounts they have on that one. And this one, I'm so happy it's back. Commodities whiskey, but obviously, as you can see, it's written without some of the letters. It's actually kind of a lightly boozy fragrance in that I think they're focusing more on the oak the whiskey is aged in rather than the actual booze itself. But it's actually really great. It's uniquely woody and aromatic as well, but there's that light booziness that comes in to give you that kind of a whiskey edge. But it's American oak, lavender, davana, ambergris, mahogany, vanilla, patchouli, violet, blackcurrant, jammy plums, cedarwood, and saffron. If you are into woody, boozy fragrances with aromatics and spices, check that out. It's Commodities whiskey, but not written like whiskey. And then finally, Milk Plus. Milk Plus, man, it's really good. If you like milky fragrances, you've got to get your nose on this whole collection. This is a collection of fragrances where they have a expressive, which is the middle fragrance, a personal, and the bold. This is the bold with the plus on it. And they have like 5 or 6 fragrances in this collection. Of course, Moss is one of my favorites. I enjoy gold as well, but this is really super amazing. And then paper as well is good too. So this one is skin musk, tonka beans, mahogany wood, firewood, amber, but there's definitely a milky touch. But if you like the idea of milky fragrances but more potent, definitely try this Milk Plus Bold. Really great. I think the milkiness is really wonderful in this series of fragrances, and depending on how intense you want your fragrance, you can go with the personal, the expressive, or the bold, which this collection is called Scent Space Collection, and you can see there's a lot of different fragrances, and I'm hoping they would move these fragrances in that collection as well. We shall see what they're gonna do, but go check out the discount, up to 50% off on a lot of fragrances over at Commodity. And as I said, I have a link in the info box. You can go check those out right now.